And let me, first of all, introduce our prosecuting attorney, Ms. Linda Sheehan. Linda is executive director and the founder of the Earth Law Center. She brings over 20 years of environmental law and policy experience, and she's also an active member of the Global Alliance for Rights of Nature.
Thank you. And thank you, esteemed tribunal judges, for your time in hearing this important discussion today. My name is Linda Sheehan, and I'm a lawyer. And so I would like to lay out for you the law that we will be addressing today. And in light of this law, we will be hearing facts from 7 esteemed expert witnesses who will be providing testimony to you. And we look forward to hearing your remarks on the testimony and the law. But what are we talking about today? What is the law behind the rights of nature? What is the law behind human rights? Out of a fundamental conflict, out of a deep misunderstanding by our governance, sometimes we get together and we say there are inherent rights that we have. Here in the United States, the United States colonies adopted a Declaration of Independence that said that there are fundamental human rights. And we saw that out of 2 world wars and the devastation that that caused. In 1948, the United Nations adopted a Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And they said what we've done is wrong and that we need to recognize that there are indeed fundamental human rights to life and liberty and security of person. And we just heard right now from Anuradha Mittal that this idea of human rights and nature's rights together are of a concern. We are seeing our overarching governance systems, as you heard from Osprey, violating these rights. So what is the nature of these rights? What does this mean? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says some things that I think are important today as we hear the facts from our expert witnesses. They say that we are protected as people in our health. We've protected our bodies from contamination. We have the right to be free from contamination. That's our fundamental right. And the Declaration also recognizes the rights of communities to self-governance and says that the will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights also recognizes that our overarching legal and economic systems, which are also on trial today, need to be brought into bear. We need to be able to put boundaries around those to respect human rights, and that we need to have social and international orders in which the rights and freedoms in the Declaration of Human Rights are recognized and enhanced. So that means our governance systems, our laws, our economic systems cannot be such that they violate our human rights. And where these rights are violated, the Declaration says that we, injured parties, have a right to hear our grievances before what they call a competent tribunal. And certainly this tribunal is more than competent to be able to hear our grievances today. But this is not just about human rights. This is about the rights of nature. And when people were drafting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UN drafters, they said that these rights are not being granted by the United Nations. We're not giving them to humans. We are recognizing that there are fundamental human rights that arise from our existence on this planet. We are here, and so we have fundamental rights. And the same is true for nature. The same logic applies. And just as the colonists in the United States said, we have fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the security of person, so too does nature have these fundamental rights, as Osprey said, to exist and to thrive and to evolve. And so we're starting to see that out of the devastation of the world wars and out of the devastation of our conflicts with a higher power that was injuring our rights here in the United States, so too is the devastation that we're wreaking on this planet giving rise to an articulation of the fundamental rights of nature, just as we articulated and recognized the fundamental rights of people. So you've heard earlier today that there was a universal declaration on the rights of Mother Earth that was passed by 35,000 people from 140 nations meeting in Cochabamba, Bolivia, back in April of 2010. And this universal declaration of the rights of Mother Earth is patterned closely after the Declaration of Human Rights. Just a couple of examples. It says that the inalienable rights of nature arise from its existence, just as our own rights arise from our existence. And it says that nature has a right to integral health and to be right to be free from contamination, just as we have those rights. and that we humans and our institutions have the responsibility to make sure that we implement and enforce laws and governance systems that recognize those rights. And it's not just about preventing damage. It also says that nature has its right before a tribunal as well. But we also have an affirmative responsibility to create new governance systems, new economic systems, new legal systems that forward these rights. And you'll be hearing from witnesses today who will be speaking to these new economic systems. So you may ask, or people have asked, so how does this happen that rights of nature and human rights can coexist? Certainly, we need to recognize that if we're not protecting nature, our home, our planet, we're fundamentally endangering our own human rights to life, liberty, and security of person. There is no planet B. We need to take care of the one we have. So that's relatively straightforward. But what happens, some people say, when nature and humans want the same thing, such as the flow from a river? Well, the Universal Declaration of Mother Earth speaks to this very point. And it says, and this is important, that the rights of each being are limited by the rights of other beings, and any conflict must be resolved in a way that maintains the health and integrity of Mother Earth as a whole. So in our example, if we want the flow from a river, we may be able to take some flow as long as we are not damaging the health and integrity of the river. And we have to take that flow with thanks and respect. And as you've heard earlier, this idea, the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth, just as we saw with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is starting to be put into law. So that's the idea of international soft law. It starts to be adopted in constitutions, in statutes, and by local communities from Pittsburgh to Santa Monica. So in recognition of the inherent rights, the fundamental rights of human beings, and the fundamental rights of nature that arise from our existence on this planet, and in light of the facts that we will hear from the experts today, we ask you, our competent tribunal, to find that the operations of the Chevron Richmond refinery in particular, the fossil fuel industry in general, and our larger legal and economic systems are in violation of our fundamental rights as humans and the fundamental rights of nature, and to find that rectification needs to be made in the form of new laws and new economic systems and new actions. Thank you.